Hello, my name is Tessa Kowalski. I'm a solution architect at Racette Consulting. We are an alliance implementation partner for NetSuite, and I'm excited today to walk you through understanding your inventory in NetSuite and then optimizing the procurement of your inventory and cash flow so that you are never unable to fulfill an order. Now, today I am logged in as my purchasing manager. So in NetSuite, this is my purchasing dashboard. This dashboard is out of the box functionality with NetSuite Suite Success methodology. So that way, day one, based on your tailored roles, you have a dashboard that's really showing you what you need to see for that view. So here on my dashboard, as I get started and go through this demo today, I'm going to go from my dashboard, walk through a few reports that are native within NetSuite. We're going to jump into an item record where I'm going to show you the backbone of your inventory item. Then we're going to jump into demand planning, where we're going to walk through a demand plan, a supply plan, and then jump into the planning workbench. And we're going to finish off in our supply chain control tower. So coming back on our dashboard, I'm going to look at first starting out a save search, which is a report that you can basically pin directly on your dashboard. This report is basically able to show me a high level view of my inventory, telling me exactly what inventory we have on hand in real time. And that way you're really able to have that visibility and you're able to effectively manage your business. Now, we can also go into the inventory turnover report. So we could use our shortcuts and easily drill there directly from our dashboard. And we can jump into that report here. Now, this is going to get us a complete picture of how our inventory is performing. And then also from here, we can drill directly into the inventory item itself. Now, as I drill directly into the inventory item itself, we're going to come to the item or assembly record. Now, this is the heart of really understanding the inventory item. So I'm going to scroll down and we're going to jump into the purchasing and inventory tab. And for today, we're going to look at the inventory management. Within inventory management, this is how we set up how we're forecasting for this item within NetSuite. Now, based on your replenishment methods, there's a couple options that we could have in NetSuite. So first one could be very simple. So at its simplest, we could have reorder point management. For example, every time I sell 12 of these, I want to reorder so I have 24. Easy, we support that. Some additional functionality within reorder point management is dynamic reorder points. So NetSuite utilizes its machine learning functionality to be able to calculate and auto calculate where your reorder point should be, what, for example, purchasing lead time should be, daily stock levels, and safety stock levels, really understanding the inventory and if, for example, there's any type of seasonality in inventory. So being able to optimize even at a reorder point management forecasting way. Now, the next type of replenishment that we have is our MRP or demand planning. Now, as we talk through demand planning, the first component of our demand plan is where we can calculate our demand. And then on the flip side is going to be generating that supply plan to match that demand. So from here, let's actually go up and I'm going to pull up actually calculating the item demand. So within our item demand, we can, for example, select our subsidiary that we would want to run this demand. This is how we can then pull in that location. So being able to be very location specific when forecasting. We can select our projection method. So linear regression, moving average, sales forecast, seasonal average, and even CSV import. Then we'd look at our projection intervals. So do we want to look out weekly, monthly, And what's that projection duration? I'm going to look at 12 weeks and I want to take into account the last 8. And then from here, we can select all the inventory items that we would like to run this demand plan against. Now, once we actually calculate this demand plan, that's where we could then create a supply plan against this. Within actually creating that supply plan, so this is where we're telling you, hey, based on the demand, this is what we saw. And here's the purchasing plan that's associated with moving forward for what that demand is. And so once we actually run the demand plan and the supply plan, the actual output that we see from that going directly back to our actual inventory item, we can see the outputs of both the demand plan and the supply plan directly on our inventory item within Item 360. So now that we can see, as I scroll down, we can see, hey, at a very micro level, what is the outcome of that demand and that supply plan, and how does it come through? And now I can actually go and see my demand and my supply plan at the inventory level. So now that we really see this at the inventory micro level, let's go ahead and transition to the macro level where we can then use these plans to actually understand what our actionable items need to be. So that's where I'm going to pull up our MRP or our planning workbench. Now, once we're actually in this planning workbench, we could see many different views of our inventory replenishment method. For example, we could see our planning item categories, our preferred vendors, our items, location. So depending on how you want to see forecasting, we can easily adjust these views directly within the workbench. Now, within the workbench, we really want to manage by exception. And what that means is that we could see here, we could see our demand plans, and then we can see our supply plans. And for example, within our demand plans, we can see what our demand is. Is it safety stock? Is it an actual work order? Is it a transfer order? And then being able to see the pegging of that inventory and where it's coming from by location and also by need. And that's where, based off that demand, our supply plan is telling us exactly what we need to do. For example, do we have a planned purchase order? Do we have a planned transfer order? These are things that, for example, these planned orders are natively being pushed into and through NetSuite's workflows via, for example, safe searches and orders to purchase. Now, how we should really be using the planning workbench is that native workflow is going on. And really here is being able to understand by exception what is going on, and by that exception, what our action needs to be. So like looking at this now, we can say, uh-oh, we don't have enough items to support the demand needed. So as a result, we need to consider releasing this planned purchase order now, comparatively to originally it was probably planned later out. So NetSuite's telling you, based on your demand, exactly what you need to do. That way you have that visibility, you understand why, and then again, we're using NetSuite to automatically suggest the purchase orders in which you actually execute on. Now, this is how we mitigate risks within the purchasing, supply, getting those purchase orders out, transfer orders, and actually execute on the purchasing side. So once we actually do that, the next thing that we can do and actually layer into risk is going to be introducing the supply chain control tower, where we're actually using NetSuite's artificial intelligence that's built in. So I'm going to use my global search and we can easily go directly to that control tower. Now, with the supply chain control tower, this is how we can use and really understand and predict risk using AI. So this is telling me what is the likelihood that the number of orders a vendor has shipped in the past is actually going to meet our demand. So it does take into account, just note that we do need history built up within NetSuite. You can't do this on day one, but I do want to show you this because it's a powerful tool to be able to give you insights and confidence of being able uh, to know and rely on purchase orders delivering on time. Now, the value of this is from a cash flow management standpoint. So we want to really thoroughly optimize inventory. That is the goal. It doesn't help to have your cash sitting in the warehouse tied up in dead stock. We went earlier into the inventory turnover report. We saw that. You have visibility within NetSuite. We saw the demand planning is being able to optimize the demand and supply. And we saw how the MRP can handle all of a sudden different orders and manage by exception. Now we're taking it a step further and where we're looking at risk. And again, so I can get as inventory as tight as possible while maintaining inventory levels with the utmost confidence that I'm actually going to be able to deliver to my customers. So coming into this control tower, we're going to go ahead and click on this purchase order. Now, this PO is telling me that it's 83% confident that this is going to deliver on time. And it's taking into account that in the past, this supplier has actually been within 3 days late consistently. And so that's a risk to my supply chain. That's a risk to the demand, and it's a risk to my customer orders. So we can go in and actually simulate within our inventory snapshot. As I pull up this screen. So we can simulate inventory within this inventory snapshot. So this is where I can say, hey, there's risk here. I can do the simulation. And as a result, this is where I can make the choice on how I need to move forward within the situation. Do I need to call up the vendor and have them expedite the order? Do I need them to ship early? Do I need them to up the vendor quantity? Again, this is where we're giving you clear visibility, pointing out risks within the system, and giving you the tools to then be able to mitigate and make informed business decisions based on having the information at your fingertips. Now, as I pivot back to the control tower, I just want to finish up on wrapping up today. We walked through how you can use NetSuite's reporting to give you visibility. Again, being able to walk through the item record, understanding the setup in NetSuite, understanding forecasting, how we're effectively able to use forecasting to make sure that we know when to execute purchase orders. And then once they're actually executed, how do we mitigate risk while they're in transit? Now, if you have any questions or follow-up, I would love to talk through your business processes. Please reach out directly, and we'd love to work with you in the future.